Oh shit. No volume. Who's trying to text me now? Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and get started here in a second. I'm just responding to text messages because, you know, it's what I do. Setting things on silent so you can't hear them during the stream. And what we're gonna go over today is updating the new Bitoreum wallet for both the actual wallet itself and for the Smartnode, right? Because I've done 2 already. It's gone smoothly, but you know, this typically always winds up happening in the Discord that, you know, a couple days later everybody's gonna be like, well, how do you do this? Alright, so very quickly, I keep my wallet obviously on 2 different machines. I'm gonna do this off screen so you cannot see my password. Right, but I have effectively logged into my wallet machine, right? So as you can plainly see, we got the Bitoreum wallet going. Oh, I'm still mining in the background. Let's kill that because this can sometimes be resource intensive, and obviously running a CPU miner in the background would be very bad form. So if you are experiencing the sync error where, you know, obviously I'm getting rewards, but when I logged in earlier today, it had basically frozen at 3.5, and I think it was like 40-some thousand BTRM. At some point in time, it had stopped syncing, but it really wasn't showing that. So first, I want to address one of the ways that you could actually see that, because in the visual sense, you know, my wallet effectively looked like this. It just hadn't gotten any of these rewards yet. So the easiest way to look at that would be to go to where your Bitoreum wallet is. Now, normally this is hidden, but I intentionally made this a not hidden file to make this a little bit easier. So what we are going to do is to change directory to that. Now, Mint Linux and Ubuntu kind of have this cool feature where you can drag and drop into the terminal, which is awesome. Mac's done it for a while. Linux, it's kind of a new feature, and I love it to death. So the command that we're looking for is we're going to tail, which will show visible data on the screen, F for, I think it's just recurring data, and we're going to do it to the debug.log. Now, what this is, I know it's all a lot of gibberish for a lot of you, but as long as this is keeping going, this effectively means that your program, in this case the wallet, is actually doing something. If it is stopped or there's an error, you will see it here. Now, clearly mine is actually running fine, but that's fine. We're going to go on the assumption that it's not. Oh, and to get out of that at any point in time, if you want to break a process in Linux, Control plus C key breaks that. So now we're back in the core. All right. So one of the first things that we're going to do is actually go back to the Bitoreum. So we're gonna, oops, I think wrong copy. So we're gonna CD paste home Bitoreum. Alright, so now we're telling Linux to go right here into this folder, and I need to remember where my browser is. Oh, I probably closed it entirely, didn't I? No, I didn't. Okay, so if you go to github.com/Bitoreum/Bitoreum/releases, the new release is 3.0.2 Transylvania. I know it says that it came out 7 days ago, but these files are super recent. So in this context, the one I'm looking for is, even though that I'm on Mint Linux, the equivalent is Bitoreum Ubuntu 20. This is the Intel CPU, so this one works. If you have a Pi, or if you're using your wallet on your Oracle VPS, which, you know, go you, You would definitely want to match it to your flavor of Ubuntu and for the ARM processors. Right now they only have it for Ubuntu 18 and 20 anymore. Go to their Discord, ask very nicely, or make it your own damn self. I have been having a 30-year war with Make never working right for me. But in my context, the one I'm looking for is this one right here. So we're going to right mouse button click it, copy the link address, go back over to Linux, right? And we are telling it to download it to the Bitoreum file, and we're going to say wget b, right? And that's going to tell it to download that folder. And it's done, 100%. So if you wanted to do this visually, you can just extract. We're going to go through it as if, you're doing this in line code or CLI command line interface. So I'm going to Control-Alt copy and say unzip v, and boom, it unzipped that file. Now, I never remember the tar acronym or the tar letters that come after it, so I have actually saved that once again. I am super bad, but what you're going to want to preface the tar, because tar is basically another kind of zipped file. It's tar xvfz, and I 100% of the time will never remember that. I won't remember it today, I won't remember it tomorrow, but that's fine. So we paste that into the terminal, right? And then we say, that's the one that we're looking for. That's what we want to tar or unzip. So copy and paste, right? Now, and it overwrote those files. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it did. It overwrote them because, no, it didn't. I'm sorry. It put them in the build. Right. So, how do we deal with that? Well, first things first, let us actually quit, which is what I should have done at first. You should have quitted. Nobody told me that in chat, which is fine. But yeah, you should quit your core before you're making any of these changes. But it's a good thing it actually did it this way because I didn't break anything. So the first thing, we're actually going to want to remove all of the old stuff related to this. So in this, we're basically going to delete everything here except the core file. We want to leave that alone. And the Bitoreum build, because we're going to need that in a second. But everything else can go away. So that for that, RM, and then because these are just commands or individual files and not folders, we can, totally do it this way. RM b Bitoreum-CLI. I'm not spelling that out. And I probably forgot one. So let's ls. And I did. I forgot the qt and the tx, so that's fine. rm -qt. Okay. So let us go into the Bitoreum build folder. Who's texting me? Marius told me something. Oh, that's the one I needed too, Marius. Is the Ubuntu 20. Marius, as many of you may know, is the big dog for the Bitoreum project. So I'm gonna wait to hear back from him. Apparently the Bitoreum update for ARM 20 isn't working. And of course the one that I really wanted to update, for my Smartnode isn't working, or may not be working yet, but I'm going to wait to hear back from him first. Alright, but before we do that, what we need to do is we need to copy these files minus the checksums into our other one. So let us copy this, right? This home, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But we're in the build folder, so for that we're going to do the copy command, and we're going to do it one file at a time. Bitoreum -CLI. That says that we are wanting the file relative to this, and we're going to move it to that. Oop. This is why you check before you blindly copy and paste. So we copy, right, paste, /Bitoreum-CLI. And if we go back to the Bitoreum, we can now see that it's there, right? So we have copied it. So for all of those you wondering how do you copy things, this is how you do it. So we're going to have to do this for each one. Now, thankfully, the next one's simple. We really just have to replace the -CLI with D. Done and done. -Qt, which is the visual wallet that we're going to need. Qt. And I believe the last one's TX. I rarely ever remember about this one, but it's fine because we need them, theoretically. Okay, so if we go back here now, we can now see that our 4 files that we originally started with are there. So we're going to back up in the directory one time, so we're back in the Bitoreum ls, and we are going to remove recursively the Bitoreum-build folder because we're done with that, and I don't like using redundant spaces. What that really does is just cleans up everything here. Now, you can go ahead and launch this by either doing it this way. The problem is, Bitoreum D, I'm sorry, not D, -Qt. That will work. That is not my favorite nor prescribed way of doing it. Mint Linux actually has these really cool things called startup applications. Or it's not a, so basically you go ahead and set these up. Now, I've already done this, but if you are wondering what that looks like, you basically give it a name, and then you type in the command as if you would type it into the terminal. So it would be sudo the directory path, and then once we get to the application, it's // and the name of the command with return. Give it a name, and then this is for when it starts up on the operating system. So that's what we're doing. Since we made no changes, we hit cancel, we execute it, and voila, the new wallet is loading. Right now, I'm doing this. You will probably still run into an error, right? So we are going to address that part of it right now. So we have closed the Bitoreum wallet again, and we are going to go to this folder. Now, many times this folder itself is actually called Bitoreum core with a period in front of it, so it's hidden. When I first set this up, I was doing a lot of things that I didn't want hidden, so I made it a visible folder, but typically it would be, inside here, and then you would say cd.bitoreum core, and it would go to that. But since that isn't really a directory, clearly we don't want to do that. So core, right, ls, and there are some. What we're dealing with now is we're going to deal with the bootstrap. Now, I have an older bootstrap. Actually, this is the bootstrap we want, but we're going to assume that this is an older one, so we're going to want to remove that file, bootstrap.zip, and the powcache.dat file. Those are the two that I really want to get rid of, and then we also want to get rid of the backups, blocks, chain state, evodb, and llmq folders. You don't really need to do this part of it, but I find that it works a lot better, particularly on Mint Linux for some reason. It doesn't actually always overwrite them, which is what we want to do. We want clean data, so we're going to remove recursively, backups, blocks, chain state, evodb, llmq, and pray I spelled all of this right. Oh, right. That's right. Some of this, particularly in the backups folder, is write protected. So always use sudo when you don't need it. Now, I also am using vsudo to basically not have to enter my password a bunch. If it prompts you for your password, enter it here. But this is basically elevating to administrator permissions and then deleting these files recursively, because as you can see here, they're gone. Right. So how do we replace that data? Because you absolutely will need to. So on the same 3.0.2 Transylvania, blah, 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 what we want is the bootstrap file. So we're going to copy the link address as we did for the other one. And we are going to say wget paste. That's going to download the file. Now this could take a while depending on your internet connection. I am using very crappy Comcast, which here in the United States is a cable provider that is absolute dog shit. And I know that this file is quite large. So this is going to take a minute. Bear with us here. And hopefully Marius has gotten back to me about... Okay, so he did tell me that the backups folder is really just only the backups of your wallet file. And did I really want to do that? Delete this? For this context, yes. So I do want to, he brought up a good point. Always, before you do this, always make a copy of your wallet, right? So that is this file right here, wallet.dat. This is you, right? So this is your money. This is everything. If this gets destroyed, you are SOL. And if you caught at the beginning of my screen, I had like 3.5 million Bitoreum. You know, your mileage may vary. So what we're going to do is, while that's downloading, because I don't want to interrupt that, we're going to open up the new tab. We're already in the core, so we are actually going to copy the wallet.dat file, and we are going to make a backup copy ourselves to my home directory. If everything goes to plan, we're going to delete this file later, but thank you, Marius, for reminding me that always back up your wallet file before you do this. See, I've just done this so many times that I practice what's called the rule of three. Before I started this at all today, I actually have encrypted thumb drives. I've made 3 copies. One gets kept on my person. One gets privately distributed, and I'm not going to say how that one gets out. And then the third one goes into a bank box, which in the United States is a vault inside of a bank where you can deposit anything, cash, tokens, all kinds of stuff. So there are always 3 copies of this file, and you know, in the terms of Bitoreum, that's that. But if you look down here, I also have Raptorium, Yerbis coin. I think I also have Tezos on this one, and I have a lot of coins. All of those wallet files are saved up there, including my configuration files for the smart nodes and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't do that before you're doing this, always make a copy of that wallet file, else you will have a very bad time. Thank you, Marius, for pointing that out, because yes, that could have been a huge problem for a lot of people. I don't actually have so much of a nice YouTuber voice, because if I use my standard gaming headset, I actually sound like a 5-year-old. What this is I used to do podcasting, like before podcasting was fun and cool and the thing to do. And I have a like $4,000 setup. So I pre-balanced it because I've been doing a lot of live streams for the OpenAI chat thing. So it's not really my voice. It's more the setup. Anything to make my voice sound buttery smooth, that is the thing. And I also noticed that I'm peaking a little bit, so I'm going to, in the stream, drop that down just a smidgen. Also, if the music gets a little loud, let me know. I try to normalize it. But okay. So now the bootstrap was done while I was dicking around with that and wasn't paying attention. So how to deal with that? I get asked this question a lot, and I tell people all the time to unzip. That is actually the name of the command. If you don't have unzip installed on your machine, sudo apt update, that will issue one command, and sudo apt install unzip -y. That just means I don't have to enter yes if it's going to ask me. Now, it's already installed, so it's going to say, you've already installed it, dumbass. Oh, I actually have some updates that maybe... Anyway, so as you can see here, it'll say Zerly new upgraded. But if you don't have unzip installed, that's what you're going to need. So the next is unzip bootstrap dot zip. Right? Spell it right. Okay. Now, depending on the speed of your machine, this could either be really quick or really long. Obviously, on mine, it's really quick. This is a 8-core. It's an old school, but it's an 8-core something or another. I forget what it is. It's actually a really powerful machine, but from like the Mac Mini Core 2 Duo days. So like from 2009, I found it on OfferUp, which is like Craigslist, for like $5 from old server admin that's like, yeah, I don't need it. And it came with a $100 Quattro card from back in the day that I sold, so I made money on that. But in the meantime, it does a little CPU mining for me and runs this. Okay, now that that information has gone, what we're going to do here is we are going to tail the debug log, which right now isn't doing anything, which is fine, but as you can see, it's still running, but it tells me that it's shut down. The reason is that when we do the startup, right, and we execute the Bitoreum, you will see that now it's doing things in the background. Now, this is going to be critical for some of the things that we're going to do later, and I think I'm still waiting for Marius to give me the go-ahead that the ARM20. Also, the flickers on screen, I can't control that because we're VNCing into another machine, and for whatever reason, VNC server on this particular machine is garbage. And I think it has to do with the fact that this is running an old NVIDIA GTX 650 because it was just a video card I had laying around that was worthless. Nobody's going to pay more than $10 for the card, so what the hell's the point in keeping it? But it was great for this purpose. But because of that, it actually doesn't run the new 470 driver so well. Like for VNC purposes, it runs okay, but for actually looking at the monitor, like I can't look over at it. Once it goes to sleep, it'll never wake up until I reboot the machine. So I have to roll back to the 390 driver, both of which, however, have a degree of this flickering, and I just kind of deal with it. I do apologize. You know, we are only going to be dealing with this for the time being. Once again, right here, this is now syncing the headers. The first time I did this, it took about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. Basically, once you're here, you're good. I haven't seen this error out, and that's kind of what's being reflected by a lot of this gibberish text, right? I know a lot of you actually can read this. I've had to look at it a lot, so I kind of understand it. But what we're not seeing here is we're not seeing errors, right? This is all good text. Errors are actually pretty clear. If you want to see what an error will look like, let's see here. Let's go to my Smartnode 2, which is the one I need to upgrade. Okay, we got about a 2 to 3 minute wait on the wallet, which is awesome. So let's go ahead and look at what that tail would look like over here. So we go to tail-f. This is to go into a hidden folder, Bitoreum Core. Right here. This is a very popular error, and I'm going to copy it because sometimes this goes pretty fast. These are what I mean by errors. Now, this isn't a particularly bad one. I kind of have been told what this is, and they're working on it. It used to happen a lot more. Like, I'm not even kidding. A couple days ago, this was happening every other line. This periodically is not bad. This basically just means that the connection was reset by the peer that you're trying to connect to, or in this case, my node's trying to connect to. The point that I'm getting at is you can see over here that we are not really getting anything that is blatantly an error, which is definitely a good thing. We're still out of sync, but like I said, this can take anywhere from... I did this on another computer, a much faster computer. I think this was a Ryzen 74, 7500, whatever it was. The 5800 equivalent for the new Ryzen 7000 series. This took like 30 seconds, but also that one is on a better network. My network at my office is garbage because here in the US you also overpay because this is a real business. So I pay 4 times more for shittier service on cable than I do at home, and it's just garbage. Yeah, I think I get like, what, 50 megabits down and 2 or 3 up, and that will absolutely have an effect. There are some other things that Marius has asked that you can do. You can add gnomes. No, that is ARM, Marius. The only error is that the socket connect. A couple days ago, I was getting a lot more errors. This is much better. Now I'm only getting that socket 104 error, and I'm getting it like maybe once every, I don't know, 10 minutes, where the other day I was getting it once every 2 minutes. It was pretty horrible. Whatever happened in the last day or so, the network has definitely calmed the F down and has become better overall. I read this text religiously, and I don't even remember on one of my channels for like 8 hours while I was sleeping, I had my 3 main smart nodes that I deal with just running in the background so I could see what was going on. This is actually looking much, much better than what I was getting a couple of days ago. But once again, this is ultimately what I'm concerned with, because right now we're dealing with the wallet, which this is where it's at. These are also on 2 different machines. So this is the non-headless machine, right? So that's where the wallet is. And this is my headless smart node using Oracle's VPS. So these are 3 different machines. The machine that I'm using is a Mac laptop. This is the headless interface to the VPS, and this is the headed interface to my wallet. Still out of sync, and that is perfectly fine. I'm not seeing any big errors, so I'm going to actually get out of this because we are now in good form. So one of the things I do want to do is I actually do want to remove the bootstrap file. If you are having problems, don't. Because unless they make a change, this will save you having to download that file. And I forget what size that is. But clearly for me, it took me much longer than I would have liked. So I would not want... Yeah, it's only 540 megs, and it took me what seemed like 3 years to download it. So clearly, if you're having problems, leave it alone. I'm not having problems, so I'm going to get rid of it. I like having my machines run smooth, and I also do a lot of backups, so I like my backup files being small. Everything in here is good. We are also now going to go back to home, and we're going to get rid of that wallet file, because clearly my wallet is still up and going. And like I said, I have multiple backup copies. If you don't, do not delete this. Make copies. Put them in multiple places, because if you lose that wallet file, you lose this, right? You lose this. This is your wallet. This 3,557,000 Bitoreum. That's my wallet. If I lose that file, I am proper fucked. And I don't want to be. Granted, Bitoreum's not worth a lot of money today. It'd be pretty easy to get it back by either mining or just buying more, but I already have it. Why would I want to lose it? And you know, in the future, if a Bitoreum is worth $1 a piece, like that's 3.5 mil that I'd lose for being dumb. Backup, 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 and keep multiple backups. So yeah, I would say that for our purposes now, my server is back up and running very well. So we're going to close the startup. We're going to close all of this. This tune config is actually for the next part that I'm going to do, because this thing just kind of goes off in the background. So history. C. Oops. Nothing there. Sudo. Oh. Yep. Really? Did I turn that off? Alright, cool. Okay. I thought I had it turned on. Maybe I don't. Interesting. That's what I thought. It shouldn't have been asking me for a password. Yeah. Ooh, no, don't want that. Don't want that. This is a text file, effectively. You don't want to... No, I don't want to save it. Just want to dump out. That's what I thought. Well, I am bad at spelling stuff, so let's do this again. Okay, well, that shouldn't have actually worked, but it did. There's clearly something going on, but it's working, and I'm happy. We are now mining... Oh, I'm doing Yerbus coin. Okay. Thought I was doing Bitoreum on this one. Oh, well, oh, well, oh, well. Okay, dokie. It looks like we are good to go. Should ask me to terminate. I think Marius has given me the green light. The new, excuse me, the new arm is built and it's in the Bitoreum, but he also gave me the direct link to download, which is nice. You should be able to get this directly off the GitHub. So if what you are on is the Oracle VPS using the Ampere or ARM cores, we are absolutely, this is what we're going to do. All right, so from my end, I've already created these little apps to just basically I double click and it logs me into my server, which is flippin' awesome. The first thing that I like to do is to stop core. Well, doing a bunch of stuff. So we're going to home directory, BTM, latest. If I could spell Bitoreum V 3.0.2, which was the old one. Execute Bitoreum CLI with the stop command. And we now see that our server core is stopping. All right. Now the next thing is, since we're already stopped anyway, let's go ahead and see if this has any updates. Now I can clearly see that it says 0 updates can be applied immediately, but it's better to be safe than sorry. What version is? Oh, I thought this was. Smartnode 2. Yeah, Smartnode 2 is ARM. Oh, this isn't ARM 20. This is ARM 18. That's right. Yeah, I know. Those are the other ways to kill the Bitoreum D. I like doing things the complicated way. Marius has given me other codes for killing you can watch the Bitoreum thing go. There's a couple of interesting commands that I like. HTOP is one. This will show you your resource use, which is also good to see if your swap file is there, your CPU usage, and your RAM. Clearly the other one is the one that's the prescribed way, which is top, which will update this relative to what's using the most resources. Mine didn't have a particular error, which is all good. So in this context, we're going to go sudo apt update. Should update the repositories. Sudo apt dist upgrade dash yes. Now, before I execute this command, there are controversies about running the dist upgrade or distro upgrade. This is something that I prefer to do. I would say that a lot of people could just don't do the distro dash upgrade and just do the upgrade dash yes. If you know what the distro upgrade is and why to use it, go ahead. If not, don't do the distro upgrade. I would say that for the vast majority of the users, don't. But for me, I do. Now, I already saw that there was no upgrades. And then the other thing that we could do is, if there were, do sudo upgrade. Now the other thing that I do want to update is my cron tab, because I have this set up that every time that this reboots, it launches the Bitoreum D, so I don't have to do this manually. All right, so what we're going to do here is, oops, add 0.1, oops, not 0.11, 0.1/. So this folder doesn't yet exist, but it absolutely will. So we're making that first, and we do Control Out, which will write it, Control X, exits the cron tab. So now the next time that we reboot, the Bitoreum D will run. So let's go to the Bitoreum core. And this tilde / is your home directory for the user that you're currently logged into, which for me, I'm using the user Cisco, not root. I don't do this under root. If you are using root, the quickest way to get there would be sudo bash. Right? If you've done this under your root, that's what you're going to have to do. If not, just do it under your basic user like I do. I've also elevated my user to have sudo or administrator privileges, which is the way that I generally, everybody should be doing it this way, but if you don't, that's what you're going to have to do. So we go to cd, my home directory, the hidden folder, Bitoreum core. All right, good. ls. And once again, we're going to do like we did for the other machine, only now I don't have a head to confirm it. This is all inline command, so we're going to remove the bootstrap, because this is an old one and I do not want to use it, and the power cache .dat. Right? ls. Okay, and then the 4 folders we need to get rid of, and we're going to leave everything else alone outside of that. If you were having other issues, the other one that I think is the banlist.dat file has had issues. I don't, so I'm not going to remove it. But if you are still having sync errors, I have seen that banlist has been causing errors. And it might not anymore with this 3.0.2.1, but we're just going to leave it alone for now because I've seen it work for me. So we're going to remove recursively. That's what that -r means. Blocks. Chain state. Evo, DB, and LLMQ. ls, make sure that they're gone. Okay. People be talking. Dist upgrade will take 2 hours. Distro upgrade may take 2 hours if you haven't done upgrades in like a billion years. Because distro upgrade lately, since I think 18, it only will do those kind of upgrades for things that aren't there. What it will take a long time for is if you have new headers or new firmware that need to be installed. That absolutely will take a long time. Like I said, if you want to use distro upgrade, there is a reason for it. I'm using it. Like I said, I don't actually recommend it. I would just recommend doing sudo apt or apt-get upgrade-y, leaving off the distro. There are other things that I run on these servers for testing purposes that the dist upgrade works better for me because I like overwriting the data that's already there, which is, it's a more destructive upgrade is the point that I'm getting at, which is also why I was saying that it's not really designed for your average user. I use it a lot, but I've also gotten the habit of using it a lot. Thank you for once again pointing that out, Marius. Yeah, there are very specific use cases for me for using it that I do not recommend. So once again, what I'm talking about is that upgrade, the update, sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade -y. Oops, -y. Let me scroll this out so you can actually see it on one line. Actually, we can clip that. This is actually the line that I would recommend for the vast majority of users. Really only use the dist upgrade if you know what you're doing and there's a reason for you to do it, which in my case there absolutely is, and it's an old habit that I have anyway, but for the vast majority of people, this would be the upgrade line that you would use. in general for most people. But we've already done all that, and we are back in the Bitoreum core. So I have copied the bootstrap. So we're going to wget and the bootstrap. Now this is a much faster connection, so this should take much fewer time, because this is on my VPS, which is being hosted on Oracle's systems. This is one of the only Oracle Ampere VPS. This is Ampere, and this is running version 18. In the future, I absolutely want to upgrade to 20, but that is out of the scope of this video. So if you are using Ubuntu 18 or a similar operating system that's based on Ubuntu 18, this is the video for you. If you are doing 20, there is another one. So the Bitoreum. I am going to copy the link while this is kind of downloading in the background, and we're going to upgrade. That is the full path, but what I want is not the full path. So the thing you're looking for is arm-oracle, which is really what we're all about here. And this should take me to the GitHub. Really? Oh, that's right, because that's the download. Durr. We want to go to the releases. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about here. Bitoreum, ARM, Oracle, Ubuntu 20. Wait. Oh, so this is the new one that he just did while he was telling me to wait for ARM 20, which I also thought I was using until I got that weird message and remembered that I never did the upgrade, even though that I had planned on doing it. I'm still not running an ARM core with 20. I'm running it with 18. But if you are running an ARM core with 20, this is the one. Apparently, he was saying there were some potential issues with this one. So the one that's older, leave it alone. The 65.6 meg, I would assume if you're on Oracle or Ubuntu 20 on an Oracle system, this is the one, or an ARM system. I would assume that this would also be your Raspberry Pi, which will very likely be my next Bitoreum Smartnode, because I have one that runs a Yerbus core. So I believe we are ready, because it was actually almost done. All right, ls. I just want to see what's in there. Good. So unzip. So we've got that one, and we are going to go to cd, because we're going to do some fancy stuff. Not ARP. Wow, I'm just dropping all the balls here today. All right, so here, yeah, I haven't downloaded the new version that we're gonna need. So the newer one also has the Qt, which is the visual wallet, as we saw before. So the new one has the Qt and the old one doesn't. That is also the increase in size. Thank you for pointing that out. So I need the ARM 18, copy link. So this one is where I keep all of my Bitoreum Smartnodes, which is my home folder / BTM latest, which if you've set up a Smartnode should look really familiar. In here we see that we're running the old 3.0.2, and we're going to be installing 3.0.2.1. So we're going to wget the tar file from the interwebs, and this is really quick, right? Done. So ls. As we can see, there's that. Now, one of the things is I've alluded to in the past, I'm really bad with the tar commands, so I never remember what those are. And since it's in here, this is pretty much the only thing I do, which is that tar xvfz. This tells it to unpack it appropriately. All right, so we are going to tar this. Done. It's really simple. ls. So now we have three things in our folder. We have the tar file, and we have a Bitoreum build folder, which is the new version, and the Bitoreum 3.0.2, which is the old version. So we are going to rename, which is a weird MV, Bitoreum-build to Bitoreum-version 3.0.2.1. Right. Now, if we look in there, the Bitoreum build folder is gone, and the appropriate folder that we are looking for is there. All right, so now we're going to cd back to the hidden Bitoreum core. Oh, my dumbass did something very stupid. There we go. I make mistakes. I use Linux a lot, but I make mistakes all the bloody time. And when you're typing out line command, this is honestly the reason why I think most of us hate line command. And by most of us, I mean regular users. Not you, Mr. I was born with a computer in the womb and have been developing on Linux for my whole damn life. For the rest of the average user base, I have always maintained that CLI is ass. And not just for Linux, for all operating systems. This is 2022, damn it. And it's not your fault. It's just the way of the world. And it's for those reasons. We make mistakes all the time. So we're going to do 3 commands at once. And the reason is that I want to see this basically happen all at the same time. So first we're going to unzip the bootstrap file. I'm going to type slow because when you do these compounded commands, you can definitely screw things up with one simple mistype, right? So then we are going to execute btm latest Bitoreum -v 3.0.2.1, and then we are going to execute the Bitoreum D in the new folder. The next command, we are going to tail infinitively the debug.log file, and these will happen one after the mother and other, hopefully. And there we go. What it did is unpacked the bootstrap, launched the Bitoreum daemon, and then immediately saw the tail log. Now, the advantage of this is that if there are errors, you will catch them. If there is an error at launch, you will catch them. That is the reason for this very obnoxious... Oh, yeah, and it's just gonna... you can, in theory, if it stops moving so damn fast, once it slows down, it'll stop, trying to hit the bottom. But one of the advantages is if there was an error at the beginning of all of this, if you're really good about it, point is you can see it. But as you can see, it did a lot of stuff very quickly, which in our context should normally be pretty good. That is a very good sign, because once again, I'm not seeing any errors pop out, no real glaring errors, which ultimately is a good thing. Now, this terminal or this Smartnode was offline for a little bit longer than I would have liked. It may have gone pause banned because of that, because I actually wasn't paying attention to when the next node payout was. So let me move this off screen. Okay. Really easy to check if you're pause banned. We load up here. Ooh, this isn't good. I mean, it's huh. It says it's still going. That's a bit disconcerting. Normally this shouldn't have taken this long. It should have been done. But one of the things that we can see right here is that we're good. Our smart nodes are on the network and they are receiving a signal. At least I hope this is accurate, because like I said, it hasn't fully synced. But the thing that we're looking for is the status, which is enabled. And I like to do it by registered, because then it'll tell me smart node 1, 2, and 3, and my pause score, which has been going down as the network gets upgraded. Let me open up a new tab. all the worst features to rip off from Windows. I hate that one. Same command. We're going to tail this debug file. Huh. Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. So yeah, Marius, what you're looking at is exactly the same thing that I was interested in, is the debug log on the wallet itself. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure because it looks like it's syncing. All right, like you're looking at what I'm looking at, and this is on the wallet itself. Yeah, normally this process the first time took like 10 minutes. Can you restart it and leave the debug log open? Yeah, for sure. So there's that, and then we, oops, I don't want to do it that way. I wanted to move this over here, execute it, all right. All right, tools. There it is. Tools, peer list. Now, I know that there's only one in here, but normally after like a minute or two, this propagates with like 3, 4, 5 other people. Yeah, see, so I have noticed about that. So I you know, kind of prepping for what you were going to say is like, oh, there's not enough people. Yeah, I've noticed that when it starts, sometimes the first couple of minutes there's like maybe one, sometimes nobody, but it does fill up fairly quickly, I would say. You want me to enter that in the CLI, correct? Or do you want me to enter that into the debug console? And wouldn't it be preference with Bitoreum-CLI add node those one entry? Oh, okay. Yeah, so once again, I'm talking to them via Discord. So if there are questions in chat, good. There are not. We're all in Discord, at least for now. Those in the future may not know what the hell I'm doing. So this is that. So we are just going to. I'm hoping that I don't have to do the wallet passphrase because that kind of sucks. Good. And I see that they have been added. Okay. So in this context, though, we're going back to the server. Well, that kind of does its thing in the background. Cron tab -e. Now, the thing to note about cron tab is when you type, you don't want to type sudo in for this one, because if you type in sudo, it'll go under root, and we do not want to do this as root because that has caused errors for me in the past. You want to use the cron tab for the local user, and I want to make sure that this will reboot. If it needs to be rebooted, it will boot the daemon appropriately, and it is the version 3.0.2.1 daemon, so we're good. So in this instance, we are done updating the node. The node is updated. What isn't updated, we can go back to this one. Oh shit, I remember what I else didn't want to do. I don't like having CPU miners running while this, because it utilizes system resources that are better once you have fully synced your wallets. And as you can see, I use multiple: Bitoreum, Raptorium, Yerbus, and I also sometimes have the Tezos wallet running. That's fine when it's fully synced up, but until they get fully synced up, I really don't like utilizing the CPU miner, particularly because I use all 8 threads at once, which, anybody will tell you is a really bad idea. But, suck it, Samwise Gamgee. Yeah. So, did I close? Oh, no, I did not. Good. Yeah, so that looks pretty good still. Now, is that add node command for adding those two, is that persistent? Meaning that it'll go through, like if I dump the wallet and reboot it, would they stay in there? Or in order to do that, would that require a modification of the comp file? The dumb irony of all this is this was actually working perfectly fine before I started this, and then I broke it. Just for the videos. Oh, so once they're added to the one entry, it will save them, and I'm assuming everybody else in this list, into the peers.dat file. Gotcha. I mean, I broke it in the sense that it was working perfectly fine beforehand. That's what I mean when I said I broke it. Yeah. So if you click on, let's do a random one, it'll show me what their version is. All right, which these two versions are the same, but there's definitely a discrepancy in the starting block height. Or not starting block. Yeah, starting block. That's what, I was reading the wrong one. But this will tell you, what they're saying is when you click on an independent peer in this list, it'll give you the, stuff. Pause score. Ooh, that one has a pause score, but then again, so do I. On a few of them. good ping times, though. When I did have this open last night, most of the people in the peer list were like 300 and 400 milliseconds, which is an eternity. That said, if I was gaming at these ping speeds, I would be pissed. That is a good question. 16543. 1. No, I don't think I have any with a higher. There are lower than 175436. But I didn't see any in this list that had a higher than that block count. Okay, dokie, we have another one to add. Copy. And where the hell did I put the console? Might have put it away. So if you're just tuning in now, what we're doing here is we're trying to add the peers to get the syncing of the headers to go. That is what our current problem is. Or that is what my current problem is. And a lot of people probably... Actually, this is kind of good that this happened, now that I think about it. Because... all peers are stuck except the last one. Disconnect then. Oh, okay. Let me add that one first, the last one that Marius gave me, and then I will go ahead and reboot the console. So, like I said, for those of you that are tuning in now, and I will, after this is over, put these add OneNote entries into the description of this video. We are having a header syncing error issue, so we are going to turn off. Oh, that's what you meant by disconnect them. My bad. My bad. He meant disconnect them from the peer list. Whoops. I thought they meant reboot the app. Communication errors. They happen. Hide. Console peer list. So, where are all the... 'cause I don't see them repropagating, which is fine. Copy. Also, for a hot second, I can't see anything in Discord right now. I scrolled back up to get the older one entries. Okay. So So what we're looking for is the one stuck at that other block. Block 15. Is this one 161? Yep. Okay. So that block we're going to disconnect. 14. I'm assuming that one's stuck too. Disconnect. Disconnect. Wait a minute. Oh, no, still out of sync. Wait a minute. Ha 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 ha. It switched. Plus, I saw motion in the background. I saw this moving. Basically, what they were telling me to do is to disconnect peers that were stuck at the block 175161 and disconnect them. Which is what I was doing. So now we are syncing, so for the time being, I will leave this the hell up alone. And clear. Clear my console. Also, do take note of this. Warning, scammers have been active, telling users to type commands here, stealing their wallet contents. Do not do this content without fully understanding the ramifications of a command. In my case, I was being told from the big man himself. I also pretty much understood what the commands were doing. But yes, this is like the super scary terminal that can super allow people to steal your coins, so don't do it. Right here, we got the green check mark. We are good to go. The wallet is now synced up. Everything is now working. We have the node up and running with the newest version of 3.0.2. I will go ahead and clean some of that up. I have the wallet, which monitors my smart nodes. Right, so my smart nodes relative for this one. Oh yeah, and they definitely have a lower pause score, which is definitely good because the higher is when you get banned and then have to do other stuff. Lower is good, people. All right, well that's good. So we can close the tailing of that. And no. Yeah, I can exit this one because it just does this one, and then the CPU miner can go back to running. All right. Overview, we're all synced up here, so I'm going to minimize it, which is one of the things I have it set as opposed to minimizing to the tray. Minimizes to the taskbar. Alright, we're running, so I don't need that anymore. The only other thing I want to do is open a new window and watch sensors, which will tell me what my core's temperatures are very, very quickly. Not super critical for what we're doing here today, but this is how I like to log into my machine, so I can very quickly say that, yeah, my cores are running at this speed, and we're good. Okay, so we are done with that one. I do want to log back in. I'm pretty sure the Smartnode is actually synced. From what I was seeing, the Smartnode seemed to be fine. It was the wallet which was weird. But yeah, we can definitely look at that. Tail-F Bitoreum core /debug.log. Oh. 175230. You know what? I'm gonna log in twice so that way we can also watch the debug at the same time. Actually, screw that. It was already over here. Right. So that's gonna be our debug tail. As you want me to run commands, I will just... And this is one of the beauties of Linux for those of you who may be watching this in the future, is these are both the same machine. These are both terminals on the same machine, so I can issue multiple commands without using screen, which is another way to do it, but for me, I like having them in two separate windows, which screen effectively does do, but it also requires some understanding of running screen, which has its own set of difficulties, which I'm not going to introduce into this process. So what we're really doing is looking at two terminals for the same machine. So Nando, I don't know if you saw, and I told you what it was. Do you need me to do it again? I'll do it again. So for those that don't know, I'm giving it the long path name, having it execute. That's with the // the Bitoreum CLI command line interface, and we're going to get the block count for the Smartnode, which is 175230. Okay, so they're telling me to add nodes for that one too. So CLI. I didn't need to delete the port. All I needed to do was... Yeah, so it was slightly out of sync. 62141.39.38:15168. Now when we go back and do this, we don't need to delete the port. The ports are going to be the same. We're all using the same ports here. Everybody's on the same page. Yes, this is the current one. 3.0.2.1 is what I called it on this machine. So this is the absolute newest, and all of the other nodes were as well. So we're using that too. Thought there was another add node. You only want me to add those two? All right. Let's go back and get the block count now. Still 15230. This video is not sponsored by Liquid Death. I drink it, they just don't pay me for it. Liquid Death sparkling water. I get this stuff because it's like 98 cents a can, which if you know anything about American economics right now, that is the cheapest quote-unquote bottle of water, and it's a metal can, not plastic. I really do like the idea of not using single-use plastics, and I am thirsty as shit. You're not sponsoring the video. Nobody sponsors this video. I sponsor myself. Everything I do comes out of my wallet, my own wallet, both in USD or crypto or whatever it winds up doing. Oops. All right, a little time has passed. Let's see if the... Nope, we're still stuck on the block. Restart the daemon. Would that be prudent? Alright. So what I've done is I've stopped the core and restarted it. I could have done it as one command, but the reality is it's just easier to delete text. You know, this would probably be actually a really good idea to check it on all of my nodes. This is also why I'm a fan of using these kind of little applets to launch this. As many of you may know, Oracle, you have to use key files, so that can get kind of messy. Copy. What? Okay, so that's clearly problematic. Oh, so it killed. Okay. Marius, this is a different node, so this one is not the one we were looking at. There was an error here. This is a different node entirely. Do you know what this means? That one seems to be running correctly. That one was offline, so I'm going to let that one... No. These are Ubuntu 20, but these are the micro cores on Oracle, because this is that old region that didn't have any Ampere cores open, so these are the old Microflex, the old Intel ones. This is Ubuntu 20, but not ARM based. So yeah, the question that was asked is, are these Ubuntu, ARM, or Ampere oracles? And they are not. Yeah, the third one absolutely is synced, which is awesome. It's also the newest one, and it's the one that has given me the least amount of shit. This is the oldest one, Smartnode number 1, but these are the same too. So this uses the same core technology. 1 and 3 use the same cores. Smartnode 2 is running on Ampere. These are both Ubuntu 20, Ubuntu 18. I should, but that is a damn good question. Let me look. He asked if I had swap. I see swap there. Yeah, swap file is available on both. Actually, I would be willing to bet it's on all 3 of them. Yeah, swap file set up on all 3 of them. Okay, Mr. Smarty Pants, how would I add it as a service? Because that would be awesome. Also, wouldn't increasing the swap to 4 gigs as opposed to 2 gigs also work? Because I've noticed that almost every other Ghost Rider coin uses a 4 gig swap file. Yerbus, I think Raptorium also does. Yeah, so we can go back to that's this one, right? Okay, so Smartnode 1, that's where we're at right now. Yes, I want to add a service. Get to the chopper. Yeah, so it also looks like Smartnode 2 is syncing. We're still not syncing with, or I'm sorry, Smartnode 3 is syncing. Smartnode 2 is still the one that's being a problem, but that is also the, that's the Ampere one. So, yeah, for now, let's just do the Smartnode 1 service, and then I'll just replicate that to Smartnode 3. So this is running under user, not. So when you're talking about one, you have to edit things to have it working for your user instead of root/root. Add the correct folders in the path. That's what I was looking for. Oh, so instead of root, you would type in the user, correct? Like so, yeah? Yes, I do use different paths for... I see what you're saying. The Bitoreum core is at home.Bitoreum core, so... What? I did not spell it or something right. Oh, duh. So replace that is what you're saying, correct? That's what I was saying. And that would also be home, right? But this wouldn't exist in that folder. So in here is where Bitoreum D is. Because I'm assuming that that's what has to go here. See, home Kojak Bitoreum or BTM latest / Bitoreum v3.0.2.1. Because for these things, we need absolute paths, not relative paths. You know what? I'm just going to copy that anyway. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to need it. 99.9% sure. Alright, because I'm pretty sure what has to happen that, right? And the same thing for this. Oh, son of a... This is what it's supposed to look like, yeah? Once he says yes in chat, which I know on the stream you can't see, basically I'm being directed by the big man himself. What this is going to do is set this up as a service. So if what had happened is my daemon had crashed, which I was unaware of, what this should hopefully do is if it crashes because of a memory error in the future, which is likely what had happened, it will reboot it as a service. And that's what we're doing right here. Okay, good. So effectively what I was asking, which I know you guys didn't see, is we had to figure out where this folder is, which is the core folder for the Bitoreum service. Then the absolute path to where the Bitoreum D daemon is, because I keep it in a different spot than most people, but that's so I can do version tracking. And then tell it where the Bitoreum core file is in an absolute path. The comp file is, which is what it's looking for the daemon. And then the same thing for the CLI and the Bitoreum core folder. So these are all now absolute paths relative to a user, not root. Once we're good here, we Control Alt to write the file, and then Control X. Right? That's all we have to do. Yes, because I'm pretty sure that the thing is still running, but I can double check that. Yeah, it's still running. Now, the actual thing that I want to do here... Save the file before doing anything else. Do this. Echo... Okay. I'm not getting anything echoed back. Okay, so stop Bitoreum D. I was telling it to stop. Oh, I need to add to the comp file. Okay. There's stuff in the comp file that I do not want to show, so CD. Wait, what? I added it where? Oh, I did. PID run Bitoreum PID. Just remove one of them on the comp file? So I'm confirming something off screen because it utilizes my private key, which I don't want made public. Always protect your private keys. And in this comp file that we're looking at is the private key that you need for issuing ProTX update commands, but clearly I don't want it to be made public. Okay. So we should be good, yeah? Everything's saved. We're good. I was told to set them. Nando. Although, to be fair, it didn't work anyway. Fine, I'll remove them. Okay, they're removed. I'm gonna have to do that for all my other ones too, because they're in all of them. But in my defense, I was told to do it. I was told to do it. I was trying to solve a different problem. Alright. This is still Smartnode 1. Are we running? No, I think I killed the daemon. Pretty sure I killed the daemon. Yeah, we killed it. So now I need to restart it. Oh, it was start. I just restarted it. Oh, son of a... Alright. Hold on. It was already doing that. Whoops. I already did that. I did that first. I did that. See, oops. See, right here. Oh. Okay, so I'm going to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it in a more detailed sense. So now I can just start, stop, and restart the service like I do other CTL-based system control services, correct? Because that's effectively what we've done. So we can sudo system CTL start Bitoreum, stop Bitoreum, and restart, just like I do other things like Apache or anything like that, correct? Also, will I have to re-authenticate every bloody time? Because if so, that'll be annoying. Boo! What do you mean it's not enabled? Well, that's nice. So effectively, what I've done here is actually eliminated the need for the cron tab. Not really going to remove it. I'm just going to deprecate it. Oops. Okay, so for those of you who are not in the Discord server that I'm reading from, I'm at the main Bitoreum Discord. What he did for me is we created a service. So now instead of using the old method of directly referencing the Bitoreum D and the CLI start to start and stop this, we now do it with a system CTL command. Because of that, we also don't need to reference the cron tab anymore, because this is actually, I'm familiar with this. This is all system D based stuff, which you're supposed to be using. Enable Bitoreum. Don't forget sudo system enable. Oh. Wait, did I not do the enable? I thought I did the enable, but maybe I didn't. It's my Saturday, man. Should be home smoking weed. I totally forgot that Ubuntu was still there. I thought I disabled that. Alright, so now we're going to simulate a crash/kill. Yeah, I'm down. I'm game. Let's see it. Okay, so we simulated a crash. So we killed it. It recognized that it killed, and it automatically rebooted. I like that. Yeah, I already had the debug running for this one. So the debug console, or I'm sorry, the debug log that you're seeing is for this node. And I noticed it right away. That was, killed up here. And then rebooted. Once I saw this, I know that it was reloading, because that's all part of that fun stuff there. Thank you. Thank you very much. Because that actually is pretty handy. Also, I did want to ask one question you didn't answer. And that's because you were helping me with a lot of things at once. But as I'd said earlier, other Ghostwriter Smartnodes, and I'm picking on Yerbus here, they use a 4 gig swap file, and we're only using 2 gig. Would there be an advantage to using a 4 gig swap file, or would the still 2 gig that you recommend on the website be enough? Well, Node 3 still has another issue. We only did this to Node 1. Node 3 still has that issue that I don't think... I think it's stuck, right? No, it finally moved. So there's that looks like it's finally synced up over there. No, wait, Node 3 wasn't the problem. That's right, it was Node 2. Node 2 is the pain in my ass. There it is. Although it seems to have finally synced up there as well. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So what we're talking about is the swap file. So I have 3 smart nodes. Smartnode 1 and Smartnode 3 on Oracle are using older tech, and they max out at 1 gig of RAM. So we use a 2 gig swap file. This is Smartnode 2, so this is not correct. So this is Smartnode 1. You know what? Let me minimize you and say htop. So what we're talking about is this swap file right here. Now I have another one. What's the right password for this? This is why I hate passwords. Oh, goody gumdrops. So this is a Raspberry Pi that's hosting this one, and when I set this, what the Yeah, okay. So I don't remember why I turned the swap file off. That was my bad. Yeah, so in this context, this was set up differently, and this is designed to run a Yerbus core. So as you can see, it's designed to run Yerbus, the smart node over there. But in their documentation, they were using a 4 gig swap file. Although for this is a bit overkill, because as you see, I have 8 gigs of RAM on this Raspberry Pi because I had the big beefy burly badass one. But in noticing that, when I was looking at this, I noticed that we use a 2 gig swap file for Bitoreum. Now this could simply be because of documentation hasn't been updated in a while, very common under Linux. There could be a lot of things. Or maybe that a lot of people use VPS servers that have a lot more resources than I do. I'm relegated to some pretty old Oracle tech because on my region, they don't have Ampere cores opened up. So let us, I'm just confused as the hell. So what I'm actually going to do is exit. All right, and it's going to prompt me to do something that, do not do this. This is going to close all of my shit at once. I'm okay with that happening, but for normal operations, that's an incredibly bad idea to do. So we're gonna go here, which is reopening Smartnode 1, which is where we effectively did the service, and we're gonna replicate that on Smartnode 3 because I like doing same technologies to same technologies. We're going to put the service on first, and then I'm going to address the swap file issue. Yeah, so we're kind of discussing it in chat. There's 2 guys, Marius, which is the big dog, and Nando, which is another pretty... He's done a lot for the project too. I don't know exactly everything that he's done, but I know that Mario speaks highly of him, and he does a lot of stuff very fast. And I don't mean fast as in cut corners. He is efficient as fuck. But what they're kind of talking about right now is the sufficiency of my swap file, which is 2 gigs. And they're like, well, if you have enough RAM, and clearly I don't, because the hardware RAM associated to each one of these nodes is only 1 gig, which just isn't enough. Okay. Out. Save. X. Now I need that. Oh, shit. Yeah, crime tab death R. Dumb. Alright. Yep. In the future, though, I'm going to have to remember to update that because I delineate version numbers in my Bitoreums that I put on my machine. So I will have to update that service under the nano, sudo nano, etc, blah, 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 Bitoreum service. Yep. Yep. 1 and 3 are online. Not normal people. There's nothing about me that's normal. Also, in the future, could I just copy them to the user.bin file? Because then I wouldn't have to absolute path them anyway. And you just do it for all 4 of them, right? So you do it for Bitoreum CLI, Bitoreum D, Bitoreum QT, and Bitoreum TX. Correct? Because then that way, every new version, you could just do that for... Right. So when you do it that way, you just move them there, and then I wouldn't have to update the service every time, because then I would reference them in the service. Okay. Because there is one more that we would need to do, and that's for Smartnode number 2. So I think that's actually what we're going to do. I'm going to take a quick break here. I'm not going to kill the stream, but... Really? What? You're going to list the Bitoreum on a regular repository? Is that what you're telling me? That's awesome. So before I take a quick bathroom break, like I said, I'm not breaking the stream, and we're just going to watch text on here and listen to some music while I go to the bathroom. But what we're talking about on the Discord is that, so the big dog is preparing a repository that will go, or I'm sorry, preparing the files to go to a regular repository. So in the future, you're just going to be able to do it like a standard, you know, sudo. At the beginning when we did this, sudo apt upgrade -y. If Bitoreum is listed in a normal repository, then it will update that automatically, which is bloody awesome. Also, I didn't spell it right, and I'm aware of that. Regular is not easy, but I can add a Bitoreum repository. Yeah, that would actually be pretty dope, because I think that would actually help out a lot of newer people that aren't... I mean, we have a lot of people that we know in the Discord that aren't really familiar with Linux, and I know sometimes I go off on that, particularly if I've been drinking, because my hatred for Windows knows no bounds. Basically, Windows is great for video games, and I don't consider it great for much of anything else. Very early on, I considered it great for using multiple different kinds of video cards, and by that I mean Team Red versus Team Green. It was great for that, but then Hive OS solved that problem, which Linux has always kind of had issues with. So I'm back on Team F Windows, unless it's for video games. So I'm going to go, sounds like Marius is hopping off for bedtime. I'm going to go try to go to the bathroom real quick, and then I'm going to come back and modify Smartnode 2 to act as if it is... I'm going to put everything in the user file, so that'll be kind of interesting. So we're gonna do that when I come back. I'll be right back, guys. Oh, excuse me. Damn. Oh! It might be a little too quiet on the music. Let's give it a little bit of volume. Yeah, there we go. Oh, shit. Someone's outside. All right. Basically, something can be done like sudo apt install Bitoreum Smartnode, and it will prompt you for Smartnode private key, and that's it. Have a nice day, everyone. It was nice. Thank you, Nando. Yeah. Have a good night, Marius. I know that it's got to be... God, I forget exactly what time zone you're in, but if I remember correctly, when it's like 11 o'clock at night, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that for him. So it's like... It's ridiculously late for him, and he has a regular big boy job. I mean, I kind of do too. I'm an insurance agent, but at least that's what I do now. Okay. Hey, we're getting more of those 104 errors. This was the frequency I was getting them at earlier, too. Smartnode 3 and Smartnode 3. Okay, Control C. Exit. But we're not going to kill. Nope, do not terminate the processes. Right, because we want to close that. I love that image. This used to be right by my old house when I lived in Vegas. Now I more or less just visit Vegas because I'm homeless by the legal definition. What I really mean by that is I move around a lot because the nature of selling insurance, I'm not in one city at any point in time. You can catch me in Portland, Oregon, Vancouver, Washington, Seattle, Washington, Chicago, Illinois, Las Vegas, Nevada, New York, and increasingly more in Florida. I travel a lot for work, and because of that, I don't really pay rent anywhere because I'm never in one place long enough. I either stay with family a lot, or stay at hotels a lot, or mini-stay Airbnbs. It's not that I'm out living on the street begging for change. I don't have permanent residence. But I do miss this. This was a really nice spot to live back in the day. It was fun. And I do miss it because I think they finally bulldozed this all down. These were abandoned buildings, and a lot of them were destroying, or they were falling apart. They were really cool. But, all right. So what we're going to do here... I'm going to go to change directory, BTM, interesting. Okay. Now, I forget if you can copy multiple files in Linux, but we're just going to do it one at a time. So we're going to sudo, because where we're putting them is absolutely a user protected or a password protected area. And then after we deal with this on the other two nodes, we're definitely going to deal with the swap file issue. So where did he tell me? Yeah, I think it's sudo cp and we're going to put it in /user /bin /Bitoreum -CLI. Okay. Sudo copy Bitor d space /user /bin Bitoreum D. Now, because this is a copy command, you absolutely want to make sure that the usernames match up. So we're going to put this on one line so I can see what I'm doing. We're telling it to elevate the privileges, copy the Bitoreum D in this folder, because that's the folder that we're currently in, and put it in user bin Bitoreum D. And we need the sudo because where we're going is a password protected folder. So, yep, there we go there. And sudo cp Bitoreum tx, is that the one I haven't done yet? Probably is, but let's list it. Okay. Sudo cp Bitoreum -tx /user /bin /Bitoreum -tx. So now if we change directory to the user-bin folder and then ls, there should be a bunch of stuff in here, realistically. What we're looking for is just in the B's. A, B, C inverse, Bitoreum CLI, Bitoreum TX, and Bitoreum D. Okay. Good shit. Okay, so what we need, sudo nano, yep, that's what we're going to do, because now we're going to create the same service we did before, right? It's a systemd service, and we're going to copy Now I'm going to explain it a little bit more because I know I didn't do that very good because it was being explained to me initially. So the things that we can ignore are this. It's all important, but where we're getting down to is the user. Use the user that you've been setting up your Smartnode at. So if you've been doing it as root, use it as root. If you've been using it as an elevated user like I'm doing, which is Kojak, that is the user that I've set up with sudo privileges. So it's going to be relative to that. So the user that you're using, where your Bitoreum core file is, that's where your app data is saved, like blocks, chain state, your powcache.dat file, your wallet file, things like that. That's where all of this stuff is saved. That's where it's looking for the runtime directory. That is blocked out, so that's clearly not being done with anything. Restart on failure. What this is saying is, where's your Bitoreum D located, right? So now we are no longer going to be referencing the one in the path where I installed it initially. We are now putting it with user/bin. Now, the data file is still the same, so that's relative to home, Kojak, blah, 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 blah. And same with the configuration file, because that is still in app data. This, however, the applications have definitely changed to be a more static location. Now, the idea is that in the future, when there are new releases, I would download them and then just copy the CLI and Bitoreum D folder files into the user.data. That's what I was asking, without asking the full questions, because I was also talking to somebody in Discord. That's the context that you may have missed out on. So Bitoreum user/bin/CLI, because that's where I saved it. And by using the sudo cp, you don't have to re-bless it. Okay, so now we go out, Control All saves it, Control X quits it. All right, so Control X. We are going to stop the server, or stop the daemon, because I believe it's still running. Yep, was. And I need the PID. Normal people added to Bitoreum CLI under the user bin. I'm not normal, damn it. Never have been. Ah, here's the line I need. So we're going to... Why can't I copy? There we go. This is the line that I need, and only do it once. Apparently it... Whoops. Well, I'm really glad that that worked. Well, first of all, what I really just need is this copy. I don't know why that didn't work, and I don't know why it did it that way, but there's probably some hidden text that I'm not seeing, which is fine, because we are going to Nano, which is my text editor that I prefer, greatly prefer, to Vim, because Vim can eat my ass. It's really difficult to learn for new users. Oh shit, I just gave up my private key, which I didn't really want to do. Right. The thing is that I had to add that PID equals /run/Bitoreum.pid to the bottom of your comp file, and now I also have to remember to delete the max connections line. Right. So now that I've obscured my private key, I wish I could change it, but I can't. But what is what it is. What I've done is add this PID, and I don't know why it didn't from that echo line. It should have. Echo basically says add this text into there and blah, 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 blah. Oh, cool. I'm getting spaghetti and meatballs for dinner. That's bloody awesome. So the important thing here is that what we're doing is adding this line to the bottom of your comp file. I'm going to go ahead and add back in my private key off screen. X, right? Right. And now we are going to course, Marius goes to sleep, and then I done get up. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm pretty sure I hit the reload already. Yeah, Damon reloaded, right? I hope that it's not running. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. $10 says that I have POS ban or pause ban my own shit for this, but that's fine. Anything for the lulz. Wonder. You know, I shouldn't have to call it anymore from its relative. I should be able to just say Bitoreum D. Okay. Okay, so that actually works, which is nice. So looking back at this, I doubt I can actually do this because, yeah, I'm not very good with System D, which is really what we're doing here. System D, System Bitoreum Service 11 Runtime Directory path is not valid, ignoring assessment. Oh, I wonder if I misspelled it. Yeah, because we did see that error. Okay. I'm wondering. So what one we're on? We're on Smartnode 2. Which one are you? Smartnode 3? You can go to hell. You can go to hell, and you can go to hell, and you die. Watching a lot of South Park as I go to bed at night. Just because it's something stupid and I don't have to pay much attention to it. Oh, that's right. Oh my god, it was so dumb. Okay, so I immediately realized what the error is, and we should be able to see it here. I use different users to delineate different server clusters. So in this cluster, my username is not Kojak, it's Cisco. How about type it in the right place too? Okay. I think I know one. Okay, well that's good. Just to make absolutely sure, we're just gonna go ahead. And rebuild them. Okay. Whoops. Interesting. But now they're saying Cisco Bitoreum core isn't valid. When I clearly know it is. Let's try that. I think I hit something. Oops. X. Do not save. I'm in the wrong terminal. Oh, yeah. That would have been really bad. Okay. I don't think this is going to matter much, but we will see. Yeah, and that's where all the stuff is. You know what? Had enough of your shit. Super bad to do, but we're gonna yellow it. But this is one of the reasons why you have to pay attention to what you're doing, which I clearly did not. Shit happens. What we can check, well, that doesn't take that long to reboot. It's on a Oracle VPS, and that one is one of the Ampere cores, so it is super fast. No passwords on screen. I know that it doesn't show the actual password. I'm just paranoid. Oh, it's getting really, really close too. I do have to have that on soon. I'm pretty sure that the block assignment is coming up, and that one, what we're dealing with is this node right here. If we, yeah, it's probably coming up very shortly, and clearly if it's offline, that's when you're going to get either a negative pause score or it's just going to outright ban it. Let's go back over here and do Smartnode 2. Also going to rotate you a little bit more so you're in the direct path of my mouth. Oh, shit, who called me? Oh. Somebody kind of important, but not important enough for me to stop what I'm doing here. Okay. So first of all, let's see what's running. Mostly just systemd. Sudo sys yeah. And I'm pretty sure it's still saying that home Cisco Bitoreum core. Okay. You know what? So we're on Smartnode 2. What we're going to do is bring up Smartnode 1 because that one worked. All right. Scroll all the way down, and I used to remember how to cut all of it with a keystroke. I don't anymore. So we're going to do this a long way. irony here is this is actually a less likely needed service on this one. This particular node has a lot of resources. It's 1 core and 6 gigs of RAM, because this is the newer Ampere core, which are flipping awesome compared to the other two that I'm using. But I did want to play around with this and see if I could get it working. So, okay. How many windows are open? Oh, wrong one. I need terminal. And I'm only doing these two. So, Cisco, which is the Ampere one. So we get the copy. Okay. So clearly, see. We are just going to mimic the data that was already in here, basically swapping out the lines from Kojak and changing these back over to user and bin, because that clearly did work. Okay. Also important to always start with that beginning slash. And the CLS, or the CLI, the Bitoreum CLI is actually at user and bin. Spelled USR, not fully user. So now we're going to read all of these. The user is Cisco. Yep. The root directory is home Cisco /.Bitoreum core, which is correct. That is where Bitoreum D is now kept. Home Cisco Bitoreum core. Home Cisco Bitoreum core. Bitoreum comp. Daemon. CLI is kept there. Home Cisco Bitoreum core. Okay, so this looks good. Alright. So now we should be good. So let's reload the daemon. Right. Start Bitoreum. And it looks like everybody who was watching the stream from the uppers have probably gone to bed, which is it's okay. Sucks from my perspective because I can't get help. Nando, if you're still watching, it would be helpful, but I think he also went to bed or logged off. And I also don't have the same relationship with him. I know that he's one of the ballers on the server. We don't talk to each other very much because I think, even though that I'm on all the bloody time, I just don't think we are normally on at the same time. Happens. You know, this is a global project. This is not something that, you know, everybody who works in this works out of Portland, Oregon. Actually, I think I'm the only person involved in this program or with this particular currency that is kind of based out of Portland, Oregon. I've never talked to anybody that even knows where the hell I say things, and they're like, I don't know where that is. Yeah, well. Oh. missing something and I keep ignoring it. So apparently I'm missing an equal sign somewhere. Well, it's also saying that that file isn't correct. That is just so weird. So this works, right? This is the node that works. This is one of those other ones that we had set up where the nodes bloody work, and this one, it don't. Interesting. Well, so I think what we're going to do for now, because I'm pretty confident that this is pretty much the end of this one. What we're going to do is re-enable the cron tab. But instead of this, because this is now unneeded, because of what we've done, now the cool part is going forward, this is all that we're just gonna have to put the new one in the user bin location. Oh shit. Okay, good. The slash was there, and it will work. So if we just say Bitoreum D, it should start. Goody gumdrops. Okay, so for the time being, we're done. Clearly there's some things I need to talk with Marius about, or somebody else who understands that a little bit more. I'm not good with system D stuff. I come from an older Linux. A matrix with a lot more violence. No, cron tab used to be the way, and there are still many web apps that I utilize that rely heavily on cron tab to utilize jobs. And what that basically does is it will issue commands at an elevated level if you're an elevated user. So in the case of Cisco, that was another sudo user. So it will we were saying on reboot, operate this located at user bin Bitoreum D, and it will run that at elevated privileges. So in my case, sudo, it's not running it as root, it is running it as the user, but with its elevated privileges, so that way you don't have to enter your password all the time. What system D does is it's a lot nicer system. Because I've come from an older Linux that doesn't require it, and technically you can still use cron tabs, they're largely deprecated by most developers, which is why they were giving me a ration of shit, which it's fine. Oh yeah, this is still the other one. Oh, we don't want to. Okay. What we do want is Control X. So we are back on Smartnode 1. And using htop, we can see that we only have a 2 gig swap file. And damn, do I actually like that. So I think what I'm also going to do is cd Okay, realistically, this time I'm only going to do the Bitoreum D and the Bitoreum CLI because those are realistically most of the commands that I use. Clearly, you're not going to use Qt on a headless because that is the GUI wallet, right? Which we're more familiar with on desktops. We don't need that. And I don't know what the Bitoreum TX does, but also clearly in everything that I've been doing so far, we don't reference it. I'm not going to delete this outside of the checksums because that is really just needed when you download it to confirm that, you know, what you downloaded is what you downloaded. And yeah, you're not really supposed to delete it because you can... Anyway, I don't need it. We're done with it. But I do want to move the CLI and the Bitoreum D into their other folder. So we do sudo copy spell it right to the user bin Alright, here's our Bitoreum and our Bitoreum CLI. So we look at top to see if my Bitoreum... Oh, yeah, Bitoreum D is running, so X Bitoreum -CLI stop. So what we are doing here is, well actually if we go back to just my home directory, so CD, I can now issue the the Bitoreum D and the Bitoreum CLI commands from anywhere in the system. So -CLI stop. Right, we're running. So now that the core has stopped, I need to remember how to adjust swap files. I had a nice little tutorial. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to elevate to root. So sudo bash turns me over into the root user, because for this I don't want to do it with Kojak with elevated privileges. CD ls, oops, ls, right. So swap off? Oh, no. Man, it's been so long since I've had to deal with swap files. Swap off A. Okay, correct. Yeah, that's fine. So sudo dd if the development of 0 of swap file bs1 men count 4000. Okay. Now this will take some time because effectively it has to make a file at 4 gigabytes of space, which is fine. So basically we just play the hurry up and wait game. And here my dumbass thought I'd only be doing this for like 30-40 minutes today, and here we are at like hour 2. It is what it is. All right, we're good to go. So the next command is we're going to make it an active swap file. So sudo make swap of the file name swap file, right? And secure permissions, and we need to change it, which is exactly what we're going to do next. So we chmod, which is change the permissions to 600 of the name of the file swap file. Boom. And sudo swap file swap on swap file. That should turn the swap file on. Okay, so we're done with root. Exit top or htop 4 gigs. So what we're looking at is, see this 340K out of 4 gigs. I've increased the swap file from 2 gigs to 4 gigs. So the reason is that this comes from a previous conversation as I was having with Marius, and we did a lot of stuff very quickly. This particular Smartnode 1 and 3, so ignoring Smartnode 2 for a while, Smartnodes 1 and 3 are based on an older Oracle technology where you're only given 1 gig of actual RAM. Very, very, very low. So obviously that causes problems, and it's what this daemon that we were trying to set up, you should utilize that if it crashes, it should just reboot itself automatically. So, but as more prevention for that kind of thing, I am just going to make the swap files bigger. Right? So what I'm talking about is this right here. So this is the other one where, you know, once again, I want to take a look at, you know, we are at times hitting that 1 gig of memory pretty fucking hard. And what is likely happening when it crashed is that we also hit the swap file pretty hard too. Not common, but it does happen. So we're going to exit, and we are going to, you know, I really like that, the ability to call the daemon from anywhere. So we're going to change the directory to home btm or underscore latest Bitoreum dash v version 3.0.2.1, right? ls sudo cp. I'm on Mac where this works a little bit better than say PuTTY on Windows. So if you're wondering how I'm doing this a little bit faster, it's just this doesn't always work on PuTTY, but it does work on Mac because they just have a better terminal. Windows, it's 2022. Build in a terminal interface. I don't care that you have the ability to download it as a third-party official Microsoft app. Just give it to me. in the PowerShell, I don't really care where you pull it. In your command line interface, make it a standard function of the operating system. You are the only one that doesn't anymore. Get your shit together. Get it, just get your shit together. Get it all together, right? Rick and Morty style. Right. So we're going to copy it into the bin file, right? And then we also want the same for Bitoreum D. So if you're bad at spelling, this is another really good way where I've just, command copy the Bitoreum D, sudo cp, right? We just copy and then we say /user /bin /boom boom. Right. So now we can go back here and we can say, God, what did I want to say? Oh, yeah. Right, I want to stop the daemon, sudo bash, elevate to root, swap off all. This turns off all the swap files. That's what that -a, swap off -a, that's what I wasn't doing earlier, as I wasn't telling it to actually turn off everything. I want all the swap files deactivated, and then I also want to go back and get this line. Now, also in root, you normally don't have to enter sudo. I have noticed some quirks with these Oracle VPIs or VPSs that really to do these, you do sometimes. Sometimes these will error out if you don't add sudo, even though you're at root level. Anybody want to let me know why that is? That would be great. I don't have an answer. And realistically, as you're running things with root, you shouldn't have to type sudo, but sometimes it's a requirement. Now, I know that this is the command that normally is likely to error out. It doesn't always. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The other ones where I was doing the sudo make swap file and changing the mod file and turning it back on, those you really don't need to. It's redundant, and they don't normally have error outs, but because I've had errors with that in the past, I've just come into the habit of, even under root, using sudo, which in this context means super user do. Root is a super user. Actually, it is the most superest of users. It is the admin, the big boy. If somebody gains access to root, they could really screw up your system. But that's also one of the reasons why I have there's a funky thing that you can do that if you're logged in through a specific user for a certain amount of time, you don't need to enter the root password. Once I'm done with these kind of things, I will disable that and it will go back to requiring a root password if you wanted to get these elevated privileges. All right, we're done. So we paste. Ooh. God, I hate it when it does that. Sudo make swap file. Boom. All right, giving me the error. Sudo chmod 600 swap file. Okay. Right? So now when we come up here, we can see that looky, I got hooky. Interesting. Why do I have 2 cores listed here? Doesn't matter. My swap file has absolutely increased to 4 gigs, right? So that is ultimately what I wanted to do. So now we do Bitoreum D. Bit. What? Oh. Oh, I know why. That's because I screwed up. Oh man, did I screw up ever. These ones had the working service file where the other Smartnode didn't. So you're supposed to use sudo c system God, I don't think I can spell today. Right, so now it shouldn't be running. It shouldn't have been running anyway. That was a little bit dumb on my part. Whoops. But now you should see that it should no longer be there. And it was running, and that's not really a good idea. So this is how on these older nodes that actually use the daemon correctly, this is how you actually start and stop. So even though that I put them in the user, you don't actually need to. You just do sudo systemctl start and stop Bitoreum, and then that is in place of the other methodology that I've done for the other one. So we are going to exit, and we are going to go in order. Okay, so we're looking at this one. H top 4 gig swap file. H top 2 gig. Ah, yeah, so it's this one that we still need to do it. Interesting. This is making it look like there are 2 cores on these older ones, and I was under the impression that they were single core. Very, very, very interesting. It's not like I can have any more than 2 of these instances, because these older ones are relegated to 2, whereas the Ampere are 4. The important thing to notice here is we are clearly now using 4 gig of swap, so that should help lessen that particular problem. This one, number 2, we're not going to, but that's also because we have quite a bit more RAM. As we can see here, the memory here is relegated to 1 gig. Right? 964 megs is more or less 1 gig, whereas the RAM here is a lot closer to 6, you know, rounding for reserved parts. So that's 6 gigs of RAM with 2 gigs of swap, whereas this is 1 gig of RAM with 4 gigs of swap, effectively giving us 5 gigs versus 7 gig or 8 gigs, right? Because that'd be 6 plus 2 equals 8. Yes, I can math. I swear to God, I can math. Okay, so that is pretty much it. This is a lot longer, and clearly, you know, Smartnode 2 is still broken because I can't get the daemon to work for whatever reason. Thank you so very much for hanging out with me and going through this whole process. I hope that some of you have learned something, and I hope that you don't break shit. Go ahead and follow us on the Discord. You can find that, you know what? I'm going to show you a couple things. This is kind of like a makeshift outro. Actually, we should also look to see if I pause banned myself. I could have. It is absolutely a thing that I could have pause banned myself. But it looks like we're good, actually. I'll show you that up on the screen. Enabled and enabled and enabled. And this is coming from the wallet that we also have gone through and resynced. So we've actually accomplished a lot today. Now the nice thing is that, you know, we've had to do a lot of these upgrades recently because we have instituted quorum on this particular project, which was a first time for this, which just hardens the security of the project overall. And there have been some growing pains for that. This is the latest in that solved some network issue or network syncing issues that were going on. So the wallet is now syncing properly as predicated by the little check here. I'm mining in the background, so we can just minimize this. That's what was going on here. I am actually good with this, so we can now quit this entirely. Control C to exit out, exit. The nodes are running. I'll get back with the big dog later and figure out why my the daemon isn't working for systemd. Because once again, I am not a systemd expert. I don't use it. I use cron tab, and I really should go ahead and learn systemd, but that is just one of those technical nerdy things. If you want to learn about systemd, I would highly recommend using ChatGPT, which has been all the rage. We're going to do a couple shout outs on that one. Let me see here. Okay, so chat.openai. Yep. Explain systemd. Right. also works on Mac because it really Linux. Saying that it's for Linux operating systems is probably a misnomer. It's more like what you will see apostrophe Linux systems, because that could be Unix, Linux, if I could spell, or free, BSD, or open BSD. Now, OS X or Mac OS is a flavor, a true flavor of a BSD clone. So this is kind of a misnomer. Yes, mostly Linux operating systems use it, but Mac does too, and the reason is that because these are all children of Unix, and Unix implemented Systemd quite a while ago, I believe. I just don't use it because I come, like I said, from a much older Linux background. But ChatGPT, and I'm not going to go into too much ChatGPT, that is a tomorrow thing that I'm going to be doing another stream to kind of play around and deal with that in my other job relative to insurance and what that has, the implications over there. But if you want to learn things about Linux, I like this system a lot because you can ask it very specific things about Linux, about some of the commands that we've done. And I mean, not specifically to the Bitoreum, but more operating system level commands, like what is sudo, right? Did I break it? Did I stump it? Or did my internet go out? No, it's just taking a while. This is actually one of the things that I could see definitely the future of AI, right? And once again, we're only using GPT-3 for this. Learning things. This will be an incredible learning tool going forward. I know that ChatGPT has gotten a lot of shit in recent days because the awesomeness of it is worn off for the higher end users. Forgetting the higher end users for a second, more of the lower end schlubs like myself, this is going to be a great tool for that. Also, I don't do donations. I like giving. I like people to buy things from me, and the only thing that I really have for sale are NFTs, and they're not even expensive. And I intentionally made them that way. I use Tezos, I believe, is the system that I use. Internet be really slow in here, right? I actually have to add a ton more. All of these particular ones, a fraction, and I think it's 20% of all the sales, and then a 20% of all the royalties go towards pet foundations, helping pets get rehomed, goes to no-kill shelters, things like that. So all of these purchases, that's what these are for, and I need to add more tokens. And I really need to promote this better, to be honest. This is my puppy. Her name is Kahlua de Puff. It's actually her, or Kahlua de Fluff. That's right, that is her real name. This was the day I brought her home. Cute little Pomeranian. Those are the more expensive ones, but about $1.70. But the real ones that I've been pushing out are coming out of this one. I have a couple of different NFTs, but basically if they come with a 0.25 floor price, these are ones that I intentionally did for a quarter. 0.25 Tezos right now is about a quarter in US dollars. This is different. This is an original artwork that I had done years ago, and I don't really want to sell these, which is why I put this obnoxiously high, basically $300 price tag. I don't think anybody's going to buy it. That's the whole point. Then there are only 3 tokens of this, where there's 128, because that's a joke of 8, 16, 32, 64, 128 bits. Get it? It's a funny joke. Technical nerdy shit. There's quite a few, and I will be adding more every Friday. A lot of these were generated by use of OpenAI. At least, not these. The Old Wonderland, the Old Tree, the Scope of Wonderland, Jack Spades, Graffiti House. These were from other projects. These are artworks that are original. whereas these were utilizing the open AI to generate these little things. They're not expensive. I don't anticipate this as being a good value of store. The whole point is that I am starting a program called Ballin' on a Budget that teaches people how to use tech at a very low cost for entry to compete with bigger level businesses, right? Like, I'm an insurance agent, but I'm an independent agent and I do this by myself. So how do you compete with AAA, right, and their big advertising budgets? Well, you can level the playing field. Every purchase here and the reselling of these things will go towards funding videos for Balling on a Budget. One of the streams that we're doing tomorrow, and it'll be a little fun, 30 minute to an hour for utilizing, how we do these kind of things. So this collection I'm going to put in the description of this video if you would like to help support that endeavor, as opposed to donating. I don't like the concept of donations. Do not just give me money for nothing, and you don't have to give me money at all. You don't have to buy shit from me if you don't want to, but these are just a fun little way. Literally every penny counts. And a quarter, these are all, at least they should be, I should really check this before saying this, these should all be, this is the only one that they were reserved because I messed up that mint. But this one, they should all be Creative Commons. So you should be able to use these in projects. And to be honest, I wouldn't even go after you even for the one because I screwed that up. But if you're being 100% honest, this does have the all rights reserved, and that was my bad, guys. My bad. So ignoring that one, maybe you don't buy that one. Maybe I'll even drop the price on that one because I screwed that up. But all these other ones that are a quarter, they should absolutely have a Creative Commons. So if you want to use these, by all means, you are free and clear to do so, with the standard understanding that these were with the help of AI. So I think anytime that anybody asks about them, you have to tell them as part of the open AI agreement, even if you use them. And clearly you'd have to give me credit under the name Kojak Vasquez because that's the name that I have used for that particular artist. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so very much to the couple of you that have made it to the end of the video. Join us again tomorrow where I'm going to be doing a little bit more fun stuff. Go ahead and go to Bitoreum.org for the project, the main project one. And then you can scroll down to here where it says Discord. The guys here are flipping awesome and will help you. There's generally always somebody online too. Marius is the big dog. Nando is another good one. Giannis is on there. Giannis is on there a lot of the times, and although his English can use some work, buddy. I'm not trying to talk shit. Sometimes it's hard to talk to him because understanding him sometimes not so great, but he's another good guy to get resources from. Those are like the three big ones that I can think on the top of my head, and I'm clearly forgetting about people, and I know I may be pissing some of you off. My bad. It's the end of my day. I've been up since 7 o'clock this morning. Tomorrow is my one day I get to sleep in, so I'm going to cut it off here. Thank you so very much, and have a great rest of your night.